Oh, come on. There we go. Well, welcome everyone to our Wednesday night midweek Oasis service. It is Wednesday, January 26th. My name is Paul Pursuti and I'll be your host tonight. We're so glad you decided to join us. We have a wonderful evening planned for you. As Richard Robinson used to say at the start of his meditations, his beautiful meditations on Sunday, good morning, church family. I'm saying hello, church family, and welcome. So what is our Wednesday night service and why do we call it the Oasis? That's because it's a place where we can be together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. We present our Wednesday night service in our version of the satsang style, where we invite a speaker to speak on a subject for about 20 minutes, and then we open it up for discussion. Our intention is that you have an experience tonight that's informal, intimate, and rich. So we welcome you for joining us tonight. If you're here for the first time, not only do we welcome you, we encourage you to explore our website where all of our information lives about the Oakland Center. And in the lower left-hand corner, you can submit your email address and get our weekly newsletter called The Village News. And that will have all of the information of items and activities that are coming up in the future of the week. The annual theme. I can't move forward without mentioning the annual theme. And that is Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. What a rich topic this has been so far each week. Our monthly theme under that umbrella is Living Everyday Wonder. And tonight our speaker will be speaking on this week's theme of Question Everything. So as you watch tonight, we're asking you to make sure that you mute your camera and your microphone to make sure that we have a quality transmission. It really helps. And please stay tuned for special and important announcements at the end of our program tonight. We'll be talking about things that are upcoming, and we will read our covenant for a new minister together, a ritual to call in our new senior minister. Oh, I'm going to take a breath for a moment and enjoy this space out here out in front of our beautiful center. And we're so glad you all joined us. So now I'm going to divert our attention to our opening prayer. And tonight, that will be delivered by Practitioner Zoe DeMuro. Zoe, I turn it over to you for opening prayer.
Thank you, Paul. Folks, let's take a breath. And in that breath, let's remind ourselves of the goodness of life, the abundance of the universe, the grace that illuminates every path, the strength, the peace, the unceasing love that powers all. This is Mother, Father, God. And I know that I am one with that abundance, with that grace and peace, and all that and so much more, as is each person here tonight. This gathering is blessed as we join our beloved Judith and share our wisdom, our experience, our heartfelt sincerity and love, our curiosity. And we co-create a place of safety and harmony as we explore tonight's topic, gathering as a community dedicated to a world that works for everyone. In thanksgiving for all of this and more, I say Ashe, Amen, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Zoe, so much. As I said earlier, the topic tonight is Question Everything. It's a big topic. If you joined us on Sunday, you saw Reverend Champion open us up to the idea of when we question something, we might not question it from a state of discomfort, but of comfort by saying, what if this experience was meant to be for my highest and best? That's our intention tonight. And the answer to all of this is coming from our fabulously gifted speaker tonight, practitioner Judith Roberts. Judith always brings something new and exciting to our Wednesday night services. She brings a mix of classroom and experience and discussion, always rich, always wonderful. So at this time, I call her forth to begin us on our topic delivery of Question Everything. Judith, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Paul. That was a generous and lovely introduction. So again, my name is Judith Roberts, and I'm a practitioner here at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And the topic is a question everything. It's a rich topic. It's one that I've pondered. I've questioned, and I find it very rich, and I hope you do too. I'm going to begin tonight with a quote from our recently departed Master Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, who passed away on the 22nd of January at age 95. He said, we have to continue to learn. We have to be open, and we have to be ready to release our knowledge in order to come to a higher understanding of reality. So when we're in the mode of questioning, we can't be fixated. We can't be stuck. We're malleable and pliable and open. As we say in the Centers for Spiritual Living, we're open at the top, where inspiration and intuition and where messages and guidance can come in. Ernest Holmes, our founder, said in What We Believe, Declaration of Principles, he said, we believe in the direct revelation of truth through our intuitive and spiritual nature, and that anyone may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God, the presence, the one. And living in close contact can be facilitated or encouraged by sacred inquiry. And I'm calling it sacred inquiry because sometimes that's what it feels like. Sometimes it is sacred. We're delving into and we're questioning something that is sacred. It might be life itself. It might be big questions like, why am I here? What's the purpose of my life? Or it might be smaller questions. We might just have curiosity, approach something with curiosity instead of certainty, and say, as was it Paul? I think as Paul said, or maybe it was Zoe. I'm not sure which one of them said, but what if? I think it was Paul. What if? What if? And he was quoting Reverend Champion, who spoke on this topic last Sunday. What if? What if we approach with that kind of an innocence of questioning, and as Thich Nhat Hanh said, let go of our knowledge, let go of what we think we know. So the result of this kind of questioning can be openness to possibilities. We can see and do things differently. We can be more creative, more innovative, attain more knowledge, attain wisdom or receive wisdom, have more understanding, be more compassionate, less judgmental, see a bigger picture, challenge limiting beliefs, shift false beliefs, and more. I'm sure all of you have experienced some of these benefits of inquiry. So, you know, we can question our assumptions too. We can have big, broad questions, we can have smaller questions, and we can question assumptions. Some of the assumptions that I have thought of that are examples of what we might question is an assumption that I know what's best, an assumption that I don't make a difference, an assumption that I'm not worthy, an assumption that I'm right. All of those are assumptions that we can question if we let ourselves, if we just open up to those, you know, open up to looking at things from a new way or a new perspective. I want to give a couple of examples of questions that I've had, situations I've had in my life that made me question. And in one case, it's kind of a small thing, a personal thing, you know, kind of a what I would call a smaller question. And in the other case, it's a big question. So I'm going to start with the smaller question. And that was that, and this is a recent experience, that one day I was looking for a very precious necklace to wear, and I couldn't find it. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. And I just wondered what had happened to it. I had a tenant recently that I had to give notice to who had to leave. Wasn't working out. We didn't leave on good terms. She had said after she moved, she would come back with my key because she needed to get some more stuff. She didn't come back. So she had my key and it was out there. And that made me nervous, and I didn't want to have to change all my locks. And so my mind, when this piece of precious jewelry was missing, my mind went to her, that maybe she had taken it. I suspected her. And I caught myself. I didn't like that feeling. And I looked everywhere for it. And I even had my house cleaner help me look for it, and we didn't find it. And so I thought, well, I need to stop. I need to stop, and I need to be quiet and still and go inside and ask for guidance on this, ask for an answer. And I did. I stopped and I just took time, and I went inside and I stopped my mind from this suspicion that it was in. And as I sat there, I got one of those little dings. Something popped into my mind, and it said, "It's in your suitcase." And I sometimes, when I need a yes or no answer, I use a pendulum. And this is one that I got from our bookstore. And I'll ask it to show me a yes. It'll go one way for a yes answer, and it'll go without my moving it, and it'll go the other way for a no answer. And it's kind of like muscle testing, I think. Your body somehow, I don't know really how it works, but it seems to. And so I asked the pendulum, I said, did she take the necklace? And the pendulum gave me a very, very clear no. And then I said, is it in my suitcase? And I got a very resounding, it started going wildly, yes. And then I kind of put that aside and I moved on to something else, and I didn't follow up on it very, very soon. But last week I took a getaway trip, and I needed a small suitcase, and I opened the suitcase to pack it. And there was the little box that had the necklace in it. It was a little ring box that had the necklace in it. And nothing else was in the suitcase. I had emptied the suitcase entirely except for that little box. And I just thought, wow, it was just an example to me of how stepping back, slowing down, going within, being quiet, and how an answer can come. I never would have thought of looking there. I had completely, that was way back in Thanksgiving. It was months ago. I never would have thought of looking there. So that stopping and slowing down, in that case, you know, the answer came in, and it was accurate. Another example, which I'm going to call a bigger question that was raised in my life, was that in my mid-30s, my father invited me to go flying with him. He had been a test pilot and was retired, but in later years he missed flying, and he bought an airplane, a four-seater small airplane. And he took me up flying, and he gave me the controls, and he said, "Here, you know, why don't you fly the plane?" He was right there. He was in control. And so he gave me the, I forget what you call it, gear stick. It goes in and out. And I went into complete tension and anxiety, and I started freaking out. And I just went into all this tightness, and I said, "Dad, I don't think I'm smart enough to learn to fly." And he responded with this incredulity, and he said, "Not smart enough? What are you talking about?" Somebody needs to mute themselves. I'm hearing a lot in the background. So anyway, he said, "You know, what are you talking about?" And I thought about that later. I thought about it quite a bit, because I thought, where did I get that idea that I'm not smart enough? He knew that learning to fly was like learning anything else. You go step by step, you know, you have supervision, you probably meet certain qualifications, and then eventually you're able to solo. He knew it was a step-by-step learning process. I thought I wasn't smart enough. Well, I thought about that, and I kind of traced it back. And by mid-30s, I had flown a lot. I traveled a lot, and I realized there are no women pilots. There were no women pilots. And somehow in the back of my mind, in my subconscious mind, I decided that the reason that there were, or concluded the reason there were no women pilots was because women weren't smart enough. And that came from what we call the collective consciousness, or the race consciousness. It was something I had downloaded. And so it was something I got to question. I got to question that assumption. Now, sometimes we get to question an assumption, and the divine intelligence comes through, we unravel it, and it's revealed, the true answer. The truth is revealed, because we are divine beings, and we have access to the divine, and we have access to divine intelligence and divine wisdom. And so sometimes once those revelations take place, we can fall back, especially these unconscious biases. Years later, after this experience with my father, I was at a workshop, and there was a woman there that I had just met, and we were talking, and she told me that, and she was petite. She was petite, long blonde hair, blue eyes, pretty. And she told me that she flew for Continental Airlines, and I told her whatever work I was doing at the time. And then we moved on in the conversation. Well, sometime later, I went to a workshop again with the same teacher, and she was there, and I reconnected with her, and we were chatting, and I said, "Oh yeah, I remember you told me that you're a flight stewardess for Continental Airlines." And she said, "No, I told you that I fly for Continental. I'm a pilot." And it just wouldn't have occurred to me. This is a long time after the thing with my father, and it hadn't occurred to me that she would be a pilot. And she was a mom and a pilot. She flew 3 days a week and was home 4 days a week. And she loved flying. You know, she was passionate about flying, and a pilot for a major airline. So that was just another example of questioning an assumption, seeing something, learning something about my assumptions, and then actually falling back. That assumption, or that collective consciousness training indoctrination was still in there. Even though I had seen it, it was still in there, and that it takes time sometimes to unwind these things and become free of them. But with questioning, we can. With questioning, we can. So I want to invite everybody now to go into a breakout room with one other person. And I'm going to put 3 questions in the chat. And the questions are, what is a question you have in your life right now? And another way of saying this is, what's working ya? That's what, something from Angela Zarian. What's working ya? You know, what's a question in your life right now? And then what are you doing to receive answers? And how are you doing with not knowing? Because the uncertainty can be uncomfortable. Before we break, there's a quote I want to read to you. Let's see if I can find it here. About that uncertainty. Actually, oh yes, here it is. Truth walks toward us on the paths of our questions. Wait a while in the stillness and do not rush to conclusions, no matter how uncomfortable the unknowing. So in the breakout room, one of the questions then is, how are you doing with not knowing? Because it can be difficult, it can be hard, it takes patience, and we can help each other. So I'm going to now put these in chat. And then who is it that's going to create the breakout room? I'm turning it over.
Peter is creating them. They can't see the breakout. They can't see the chat. I don't think you can see the chat in a breakout room.
Oh, they can't see it in the breakout room. Okay, well, just keep those questions in mind. Thank you for that, Peter. I didn't realize that. What's a question you have in your life right now? What are you doing to receive an answer? And how are you doing with not knowing? So I'm going to I'm going to close my camera now. Okay.
Okay, here we go, folks.
Oh, there you go.
Oh.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, welcome back, everyone.
Thank
I
you.
was in a breakout room too, and it was really an enjoyable conversation. I'd like to open this up now for sharing. If anyone would like to share what came up in your room, any of your life questions, or maybe even any conclusions you came to about how to receive the answers from to your questions. It's good to be witnessed, and also we can all support each other. And I suspect many of us are working with some of the same questions. I know that happened in my breakout room. So I'd like to open it up. And Peter, can you help me see if somebody raises? You can raise your hand like this, or you can raise it in the
reactions button down below.
Reactions button.
I would like to just say something. May I? Hello?
Margaret, go ahead.
I just want to say I had a shock this morning, not to switch the conversation, but just briefly, I want to say that my sister passed away. Judith knows already that my sister passed away this morning, and I didn't even know that she was having she had gone through surgery, but I thought she'd come through it okay. So she had uterine cancer and had a hysterectomy, and she's 67. And she just had 2 knee replacements in the last 3 years. So she's, and almost died after one of them. So she's, I guess she's blessed to be gone. I guess.
Maggie, our condolences. I know it's a very, very difficult thing to lose a sibling and one who's so close to you. So
yeah, she was my closest sister.
We'll keep you in our prayers and our prayer circle. I mean, our pulpit list of prayers.
Yeah.
I'm kind of distracted, but I did come up with something that,
What's your sister's name?
Susan. Mary Susan Domask Moody. She has 1 daughter.
Thank you.
Who's married, happily married, good job, and has a child. A 2-year-old. So the daughter will be okay.
Thank you, Maggie.
Wow.
I want to go back now to the question. You're welcome. Does anybody have their question that they would like to share?
Trish, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hi. Thank you. Yes, Freya and I were talking, and something that has come up for me is I've been invited a couple of times to assist with the audio-visual for services. And I'm kind of at that point, I'm just really swamped with work. Praise the Lord. But I am, I keep wanting to do more. And so the question is, what are you doing about, kind of finding the answer? And the thing is, I meditate, but also the messages are coming from the people that are around me. I'm being invited by Peggy and by Paul and, and I'm getting positive feedback. So I guess, and I'm okay with the not knowing, because I know the answer is just right around the corner. About how much time I can commit to this. That's basically the bottom line. I'm complete.
Thank you, Trish. Thank you. That's a good example. It's a good example of one where you're exploring something and discovering it, and waiting for the clarity, the clarity around it. Yeah, and that's what can happen when you spend more time in stillness. That clarity comes. You'll get there. You'll get that.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh, Christine, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Yeah.
I've had a challenge that's been on my plate for several months, and I've been like locked in a fear of moving forward, and trying to get assistance with my fear of moving forward to get through this predicament. And anyway, so I'm really close. I actually almost called the people that I believe that I need to connect to for help today. I didn't get it together. However, in my conversation just now with, I believe her name was, I don't know if it's Maureen or the gal that I was just in a room with. Her name begins with an M. Anyway, she reminded me of a song that I wrote, seeking guidance from the Great Spirit. And that I've had that with me all along. I just forgot about it. And so I'm gonna start singing that to help me have the courage to go forward and search. And that's what I want to say.
Great.
Thank you, Christine. That's so beautiful that you got that reminder. And that's what we're really talking about, is seeking assistance from the Great Spirit, you know, from the divine, from God, whatever we want to call it. But that guidance really is available. It's ever present. And it's so touching to hear that you got that reminder in your breakout room. That's awesome. I think we have time. So we have time for one or two more.
Jerry, go ahead. Reverend Jerry. You're muted. Yeah.
I just wanted to share, Judith, that I share your experience of women pilots, because this last summer I was on a flight to Wyoming and I took this picture because a woman pilot was in the cockpit. And I was it made me think of, you know, the fact that I was acknowledging that this individual was a woman pilot. And I was very, very excited about, you know, her flying the plane. So I just share that with you. Also, Alice and I had a wonderful conversation about the beauty in living in the mystery and just releasing and trusting Spirit to bring forth what is for our highest good, whether it be dealing with this pandemic or dealing with whatever it is, you know. So thank you for bringing the topic up and to us to promote this process of contemplation and thinking.
Yeah, inquiry. Thank you, Reverend Jerry. That was a cute picture. It was noteworthy enough to take a photo.
I couldn't resist.
there still are very few women pilots, more than there used to be. But you know, when we were growing up, when I was growing up, there were none. Same with doctors. No women doctors. No women.
I wanted to acknowledge that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Paul?
I normally don't try to share because I have so much of the screen time, but Karen Peterson and I shared, and we both had the same thing, and I think all of us do. So that's why I want to share this. And Karen and I, of course, when Karen and I get together, we just talk about everything anyway. But but the good news is I think we all shared, and Reverend Jerry brought it up, the pandemic. How are we dealing with the pandemic? Here we all were looking forward to and listening to the news and all the stuff and thought we were coming out of it, and now we're back in it, and now we're back to Zoom on Sundays. In our conversation, Karen used the word ambiguity, and I kind of like that. You know, it's kind of like, and we're ambiguous about where we're at with it. It's like, you know, how do we solve it? And we kind of left it with the idea that we're looking for good things in it. I have a lot of good things to share about it. But there is still a little bit of isolation and disconnect, and you know, we're dealing with a new normal. But Karen, what I didn't tell you is something that we're doing, and Reverend Jerry, this will be news to you. Dr. Judith is on our and Trisha, and occasionally, and some of you occasionally, join us for our noontime devotional on Dr. Dan. Now, you know, I'm a big Dr. Dan devotee now. I'm hooked. My day does not start until 12 noon. Yeah, she's got the books right there, Reverend Jerry. And we have a group of about 8 to 12 folks. Sometimes we have a full house. Sometimes it's a small house. But we read the daily reading, and everything about it is very cool. But Reverend Jerry, we've enhanced it. We've kind of, and this is for you, Karen, to let you know, we're making lemons out of opposite of that, lemonade out of lemons. And we started a prayer list at the end, our own personal prayer list from our group of 12 of people we know in the community, or persons, or, you know, prayer list. So we open and close with prayer. and we spend time praying on that prayer list. But something Dodie, who's the leader of our group, Dodie, and Deborah's on the phone too, we started around the pandemic. We decided through the readings of Dr. Dan, he talks about us taking our internal individual divine strength and doing something with it. We decided that we would pray for the disillusionment of the disease that we've been experiencing. That just as easy and effortlessly it came in, as easy and effortlessly it can go out. So we add that to our closing prayer. We're doing some affirmative work on vanquishing the virus.
Right.
Not from a negative perspective, but this week we added a song that Dr. Judith wrote about the pandemic and about the virus, which is basically she did on her own before we even came up with this idea. She wrote it early on in the pandemic. I'm not going to ask her to sing it tonight. We'll save that for social time maybe next Wednesday. But she wrote a song basically singing about vanquishing the virus. And then we call it what did we call it, Dr. Judith? The swan song? What we call it today? Gotta unmute it.
Unmute yourself.
What did we name it today?
The COVID Swan Song.
There we go.
Oh.
So
Oh.
my point is, Judith, based on what you're talking about tonight, and Karen, to kind of close our conversation, because Karen and I always run out of time when we're together, but we're taking a proactive stand on something. And I think that, you know, that's been working all of us for a long time. And there's a power in prayer. So that's kind of how I'm getting my answers, is doing some type of daily devotional, whatever it may be, Ernest or the gentleman you spoke. I can't say his name because I'm not good with long words, but right, or whoever it is that your inspiration is, and really we have the opportunity, I do, to dive into it a little bit more. Now I've been granted time to get into these things that in a former pre-pandemic way I would have never had time to do. So I'm kind of embracing the idea that that's where I'm getting my answers, is through research. And then how am I doing with the not knowing? I'm knowing that I'm doing something about it. Does that make sense, y'all?
Yes.
And so if we're the affirmative nature of of creating a world that works for everyone, we're not only praying for it, but we're knowing it. And we're doing our part to protect and keep ourselves safe, as well as vanquishing the virus through prayer and through affirmation. So Karen, that's the answer to the question that we started. So thank you, Judith.
Yeah, and Paul, that's just perfect. It's just perfect, because I think the third question was about the third question was about living in uncertainty. The second one was, well, how are you getting your answers? What are you doing? And there are so many ways, and you're taking action. And you're doing it with prayer and affirmation. I mean, that's so beautiful. And doesn't it make you feel more complete and like, yeah, you can make a difference.
Right. And not only can I make difference, but we collectively on that group kind of came up with this through Dodie. Dodie gave us the idea. I feel empowered against something that I was disempowered by. Mm-hmm. It kind of flipped it. You know, we're thinking in the what if.
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's wonderful, Paul. That's
just sharing. And Reverend Jerry, we've taken Dr. Dan on a whole new turn, and I hope you don't mind. So there you go. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Paul. I think I need to wrap up now. I wish we had time for more people, because it's such a rich subject. But I think we need to conclude, and I'm going to conclude with I have two quotes. This is another one from Thich Nhat Hanh, which is I just, in my breakout room with Dr. Judith, I tried to paraphrase this quote, and now I found the exact quote, which to me is really heartening. It's a really heartening quote. And he said, waking up this morning, I smile. 24 brand new hours are before me. I vow to live fully in each moment and to look at all beings with eyes of compassion. So I just love that, 24 brand new hours that we can always begin again, and we can always look again, ask again, ask the questions maybe we haven't asked yet. The second quote that I want to leave you with is, and this is simply because we lost two great leaders within a month, and this one is Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And this one, it's not particularly related to this topic. It's just one I wanted to share because he was such an incredible, inspirational leader. He said, to forgive is to abandon your right to pay back the predator in his own coin. But it is the loss that liberates. I'm going to read that again. To forgive is to abandon your right to pay back the predator in his own coin, but it is the loss that liberates. So with that, I would like to thank you all. Thank you all for your participation and for a stimulating and enlightening conversation. And I'd like to turn it back to Paul now. Thank you.
Thank you. I've had enough airtime tonight, but I'm going to try to wrap things up really fast. But nothing can get wrapped up without showing true, sincere appreciation. So can we all thank Judith in any way we can through the reactions or clapping or sending her a little bit of love? Look at everybody sending you stuff there. Judith, thank you. As always, you bring us the nuggets. You give us something to take home and for us to think about. And that's the purpose of Oasis. Mm-hmm. To bridge the Sunday think abouts and bridge them. And you've done it again, as always. You're just terrific. So thank you so much. So Peter and I have some announcements for you tonight. So I'd like to go into those real quickly. I'm sure you're curious about what's coming up. And we've got all the news that's fit to tell, you might say. So this Sunday, January 30th, we're excited that practitioners Margot Tabbitt and Robin Rice Olmsted will speaking on the subject, kind of around question everything, but they're taking it a step further by saying, prove it. Don't that sound cool? So I'm looking forward to hearing that. That will be in Zoom. Our Sunday services, unfortunately, in our pursuit of vanquishing the virus, we need to return to Zoom. So join us in Zoom, same way you got in here, same numbers. Today, you just do it on Sunday. Our meditation is at 10 and the service is at 10:30. Next Wednesday, February 2nd, is our beginning of Black History Month. It's also Groundhog Day and Imbolc, a Gaelic traditional festival. It marks the beginning of spring, and for Christians, it is the feast day of St. Bridget. It is about halfway between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. The theme for the month is the inner life, and for the week is, who am I? Why am I here? Well, since Wednesday night will be starting off February, that will be presented by Practitioner Bonnie Gonzalez. And she's here tonight and she'll be transporting herself in from Mexico to speak. So tonight we have people on the call as far north as Portland and maybe beyond there, and as far south as Mexico. Wednesday nights is far reaching. So next Wednesday night will be a multicultural, multi-celebrational evening. Meditation is at 6:30 and the service at 7, and we are staying in Zoom. Please note, as I said earlier, the Wednesday and Sunday services have been changed to one entry point on the webpage, and it has one password, which is really a pass number because it's nice and easy to remember. 123456. It's all numerical, and it's the same whether you're calling in or coming in on a device. Thank you, Constance, for making it easier for us to get in. This Friday, January 28th at 7 p.m., please join the Diversity Circle as our guest speaker, Reverend Susan Strauss, is here to discuss the interfaith conversation. How do we talk about those sticky matters within our own spiritual tradition? How can we dialogue with each other of the same faith about things which we don't all agree? Every tradition has something to talk about. The interfaith conversation is for those who want to identify the elephant in their living room and learn how to dialogue about it respectfully, creatively, and compassionately. Reverend Susan is a pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. A love offering for this event is gratefully accepted, and details for all of our events like this are on our events page of the website. The season for nonviolence begins this Sunday, January 30th, and for the 64 days for the next 64 days, we will put our consciousness and attention on nonviolence. We know that we pay attention to something, and when we do, it grows. So let's grow nonviolence as a community. When you sign up to take part, you will receive a daily email with thoughts to contemplate. You'll also be able to pick up a booklet to do journaling. So please sign up today by going to the events page. The sign up link will also be in the Village News. Oakland Center is partnering with Hively to collect non-perishable foods and diapers. Diaper sizes 1 to 5T are especially appreciated. There is a collection barrel placed in the courtyard outside of the entrance to the social hall to receive your donations, and will be out there until January 30th. We thank you in advance for all of your generosity. On the first Sunday of the month, on February 6th, the CALM ministry will be meeting. That's Compassionate Attention to Loss Ministry. Join with practitioners Zoe DeMuro and Bonnie Gonzalez for a healing discussion of honoring grief through ritual. The CALM meeting will be on Zoom at 12:30, and there are details on our events page about CALM. I have some breaking news. Are you ready? Here it comes. Practitioner Emeritus Carmen West Jefferson is presenting her book study of Caste, The Origins of Our Disconnect by Isabel Wilkerson again this year. It will take place on 8 consecutive Monday evenings starting on February 7th through March 28th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. If you attended last time and want to do it again, it's available. If you weren't able to last time and you can, it's kind of like a Broadway revival, you might say. She's bringing it back for us. And those are the dates and times. Please check out the events page because you can sign up there. The year-end giving statements went out by email on Monday. If you don't see it, check your promotions folder or your spam folder. If you have your own login to Breeze, our center management software, you can check and download your own statement. So let's just take a minute and read the new minister's covenant together. I will read it aloud. If you can remain with your microphones off, it'll come through a lot quicker and clearer. So I breathe into this ritual, calling in our new senior minister, my new minister sacred covenant prayer. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life, that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to reveal spirit, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit. For it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspiring unity in diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious, and so it is. Ashe. So in that spirit of consciousness of calling things in, I know from the bottom of my heart that we are prosperous and we are divinely connected, and that through our gifts that we give to our center, we can do even broader and greater things in our center and into the world to make it better for everyone. So repeat with me the giving affirmation. Hold your gift, whatever it is, symbolically to your heart. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so it is. So I pass the digital collection plate from cube to cube to cube and receive your gift, knowing that when it arrives, it can arrive in 4 different ways. Peter, we can get it from a donation on the website button with your credit card, or you can mail it to the address that's located right there, or you can text it an amount to 510-327-3431. Or if you know about Zelle, you can give your donation to Zelle at giving@oaklandcsl.org. We are so blessed for all of the contributions, both in time, talent, and treasure here at Oakland Center. That's what makes us so great. As Zushin says, it allows us to stand in our greatness, to know that we can do great things wherever we are when we're in divine communion with the One. So thank you for being with us tonight in this divine communion. There's a couple of thank yous I want to say real quick. First of all, to Judith again, thank you for the meditation. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Zoe, for the opening prayer and the closing prayer that you're about to bring to us. Reverend Jerry, it's always a blessing that you're here with us in person. Thank you so much for supporting us on Wednesday nights. We love you so much. We're so grateful. The Zoom team, the guys behind the curtain, right? Peter up in Portland. Thank you, Peter, so much. You're so important to us, both here and Sundays as well. Helene, thank you for spotlighting so perfectly. Alice for muting, and Trisha for handling the record button. Yay, one thing off of my list I don't have to worry about. As always, we thank Constance Chapman and administration for helping us put this together. And again, I thank Zoe. He's always supporting from behind the scenes for Wednesday night service to make it strong and informative, intimate, and all the things that we love about it. So with that in mind, Zoe, I'm going to call you forward and ask you to close us out in prayer. Thank you again, Judith, Reverend Jerry, and everyone.
All right, folks. As part of my prayer tonight, I actually wanted to read an affirmation. There's a book that I read each night of affirmations, and I really think that this one fits so nicely for tonight. It says, you will never have all the answers, because each answer creates new questions. There's a sweet rhythm here when you remember that one question, one answer, one step at a time is how life is meant to unfold. kind of like breathing while you're asleep. We take a breath together once again to remember who and whose we are, and to hold in our hearts and hold in our minds that the love and the grace of God go with us at all times, regardless of the circumstance, regardless of the condition. God is always there. God who gives us this incredible life, this life where we are invited to question, to learn, to understand, to share, to love. And that is precisely what we do each Wednesday when we get together. And I give thanks for this community. I give thanks for our wonderful speaker, Judith, for our host, Paul, for all of the people that make this community what it is. We always say it takes a village, but it takes you to make that village. And I am thankful for each and every one of you. And so I release my word to the love and to the law of God. And I ask you to affirm this with me by saying, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
I'm cueing Trisha.